Page 22, Winter, third movement. Actually, it's called Winter, and it's the third movement from a suite called the Four Seasons. Vivaldi wrote this suite in 4 movements, one for each season, and Winter is the third one in that suite. This is a fast piece. Let's talk about this a bit. 3/4 time. It's in the key of D minor. D minor. 1 flat. F, B flat. Eighth notes all over the place. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. The left hand gets the first note and the right hand gets most everything else for a while. So you just take it really slow. Figure out where your hands go. You're going to start left hand's second finger and then the right hand's fifth finger up here, and you got accidentals to deal with. So we got 1 and 2 and 3 and. And if you look at the measures across on the first line, they're all the same. You got the first measure, you got the first line. Second line, first measure is the same thing. Second measure, the left hand is still playing that A, but now the right hand has to come down. And then the left hand got to get out of the way, because now the right hand's got that. Then the left hand comes down here. They're saying fifth finger. No, I disagree. In the second measure, if you're here and you play the A with second finger and the right hand takes over, the left hand's got to get out of the way. You don't need fifth finger on this now. You don't have to maintain this position. So right there, move the left hand down and go ahead and put third finger on that D. Because that's the finger you're going to need. So just put third finger on it. So that second line, the first measure's here. And then second measure's here, and move the left hand out of the way so you got third finger on that D. So in the third line down, you're right there where you need to be. So in the last measure of the third line, when the left hand plays, you're right there. And then the right hand's got to go up, thumb on the A. And then the left hand crosses over here. They say cross left hand over. Yeah, the left hand's got to come up here. They don't have to say left hand over. They're just being nice and helping you out. Because if you look at the notes and the fingerings, they're suggesting you have to do that to do, you know. Right hand up here. And now they're saying 3 or 2, whichever finger you want to use. So I'll leave that up to you. Don't forget the B flat. And so we're up here for a while, and then at the end of the second line you see the word prepare. They're being nice to you. That's not part of the music. That's something the author is stuck in to help you out. Prepare, I'm not sure what you're preparing for, but if you look at the first measure of the third line, your fifth finger, right, the left hand's got to come down here. So I'm guessing they're telling you to move, to prepare to play that. I wouldn't tell you anything. I'd let you work it out yourself. I mean, surprises are nice too. You know. Then you come down here. Finally, they play at the same time. Rest. Now, third line down, first measure. When they're playing at the same time. On the third beat, the right hand has a rest. The left hand stays down. Now, I suggest that at the end of the second line, when you're up here, that when you move down here, use second finger on that dotted half note, because that's the position you need to be in. So just go ahead and use second finger and you're there. So it's here, rest. So it's here, you got ties in the left hand, and the right hand, cross over for the C sharp and a B natural. Then back up. The left hand has a quarter rest. We need to hear that. So it's. So right when I play the E, the left hand comes up, and then we're going to do that again. At the top of page 24 here. This move is a bit awkward at first, but again, as I said before, you really need to learn to do this, so just practice that. I drop the wrist each time because I'm using the weight to push the notes down. I'm not trying to use the fingers, I use the weight. Should do it in both hands. You don't have to go that fast. You take it real slow, then you raise the wrist, and as the wrist comes down, you change fingers. Again. So I'm using the weight to push the notes down. I'm just lifting the other fingers out of the way. It's important you be able to do that. So again, back to the top of page 24. We're here. Second line, second measure. The right hand has the curved line, the slurs, and the staccatos both. And it's like, what do you want? Which? Make up your mind. Well, no, this happens. They're telling you they want long staccatos here. Just separate the notes. So it's here. Third line, look out, G sharp. I use a 2-5 there on the third line down, second measure there. Alright, I use a 2-5. You can use a 1-5 if you want, but. And then a 1-5 for the next measure. Doesn't that sound wonderful? That's what's written. I didn't do it. They did it. The last line on the page, second measure, I use a 2-5. And then a 2-4, and then a 2-5. So let's review that. Last line, right hand. You're here, 1-5. It's a 2-4, and then a 2-5. Like so. And while you're doing this in the right hand, these disconnected notes, the left hand's legato. Connect that totally. It's like the last line on page 24, it's here. See, the left hand is all legato. You connect it, but not the right hand. Can you do that at the same time? I hope so, you need to. Top of page 25, then we're here. Fourth finger, this is just a F major scale. If you can do the F major scale, this is a piece of cake. Because this is it, with the fingering and all. And then second line, now the fun begins. 16th notes. So instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and, it's 1 E and a 2 E and a, now they're twice as fast. So if 8th notes are here, 16th notes are twice as fast. So you got staccato in the left hand. Third line down, second measure, look out in the right hand, you cross them over here. Last line, back to the 8th notes. Watch the fingering. They say a 2, and then the left hand takes over. And then cross the right hand over for the G. Now these are tenuto with the line across, so hang on to them as long as you can. Yeah. And that's kind of the fingering and you're moving around a little bit, huh? Dynamic wise, starts out soft, and all of this is melody to begin with, so it's all the same. It has to sound like one hand played it all, like so. So balance it out carefully. Now make sure that it's all legato. We don't want here to here. We don't want to disconnect there. All connected. And you're staying soft through all of this. And at the bottom of the page, the last two measures, now you're starting to crescendo. They don't tell you how much, just crescendo up a little bit. And at the top of the page on 23, you're at medium soft. So that kind of tells me that maybe you're just crescendoing from a soft to a medium soft. Whatever, I would crescendo a little more and then just come down to a medium soft at the top of the page. But I'll leave that up to you. That's an interpretive thing. And then third line down, we're down here. You got a little crescendo, so as you're coming down you're getting louder and then you get softer as you go back up. That's the right hand. The left hand can't do anything, it's just tying notes. And then we're back to medium soft at the top of page 24 again then. And then all of a sudden you're soft. You see that sub P there in the second line, second measure? Sub is short for subito. Subito means suddenly. All of a sudden without warning. So it's like we're medium soft, whatever that is. All of a sudden you're soft. Just, ooh, what happened? It's so. And then third line you start a little louder, not much. And then in the third line last measure it says crescendo poco a poco. Well, crescendo means get louder. Poco a poco means little by little. Usually it's poco a poco crescendo, but they can do it this way too if they want. So we're gradually going to get louder, and if you look at the last measure of the page, it's forte. That's loud. So take your time in getting louder. When it's spread out like this, I would kind of plan it out by maybe a measure at a time. So it's like the third line last measure, I'm going to stay at medium soft. And then the last line first measure is maybe just a hair above medium soft. And then medium loud. And just a hair above medium loud. And that last one that should be the loudest of all. So watch out, don't get loud too soon here. Plan that out. It's like tension is building up. Something is happening. The storm is coming, and you're kind of holding off and holding off on the suspense until finally the dam breaks and all goes on. So at the top of page 25, we're loud. So here. And then you get these medium loud on the 16th notes. So watch out on these 16th notes, because this is fast. Don't do, I hear so many people play that way. They're just, I like the idea of transferring the weight, but it has to be done in a controlled fashion. It's not like a rolled chord where you just blow. You have to control every note. So don't just flick it over. It's not a rolled chord. Yes, you can have rolled chords going down, by the way. Every note's got to be controlled. And I am transferring my weight, but I'm still controlling which finger is down. And your accents here, the way I do this is I start slow and I drop the wrist with the accents, and I exaggerate it at first. As you go faster, you exaggerate it less, till finally you don't exaggerate it at all. So it's like drop it on the E, drop it on the A. Rest, and if the quarter notes in the left hand might help you keep a beat. Then you just gradually speed it up, and using a metronome to do this is a great help, because the metronome will keep you at the right speed. You won't speed up too quickly, and it'll keep you at a steady speed each time you do it. So it's, and then maybe a little faster you can get that. I'm still dropping the wrist. faster. And eventually you can build it up to speed. It takes time. I'm really a little surprised they put this piece in here already, because this is a fast piece. This is not the easiest thing to play if you play it up to speed. But you don't have to play it up to speed. You just play it up to your speed. And anyway, back to what I was doing on dynamics. Medium loud on this. And this is medium loud now for the right hand. Keep the left hand, this pulsing, keep that down a little bit. And then at the end of the third line, now you're taking it up, crescendoing to loud. And now at the last line, it's loud. Watch the fingering. And again, this has to sound like one hand played the whole thing, so make sure you balance this out. So you have to work that out, and then at the end, there's a retardando there in the second measure there. You see where you start slowing down a little bit? And that's the dynamics. You keep it slow, and you gradually use a metronome to help you speed it up just a little bit by just a few. If your metronome goes 1 beat per minute increments, then you can move it up like 4 at a time. Most metronomes, a lot of them, like this little one I use here, go up in 4 beat increments. And in that case, you go up 1 increment at a time, which is 4 beats per minute type thing. And you gradually work it up to the speed where you think it can go. Everybody has their own speed limit. You have yours, so whatever that is, don't go beyond that. In time, as you get better with piano and more experienced with it, your speed limit will increase, and that's fine. But don't go beyond that, just because, well, this has to be fast, so I have to go fast. Yet it's fast, but it's your fast, not somebody else's fast. So it's not my fast, but if you hear recordings of this, I mean, this moves. Well, to some people, that's a lot faster than fast. 1, 2, 3, 1. Maybe your fast is this. And that's okay. If that's your fast, that's it. But keep in mind those 16th notes on the other page have to be in rhythm. Rest. So however fast you can play those is how fast you can go at the beginning, because you keep the same speed throughout the whole thing. You don't slow down because the music got difficult. This thing has a page turn in it. You got to be able to make that page turn if you don't have it memorized, because the beat can't stop. It's got to keep going. How do you do that? Well, let's look at it. At the bottom of page 23, the left hand has that dotted half note, and the pedal's going to be down, so it'll keep the sound going. So if you want, right after you play that, you can quickly turn it with the left hand if you want, and go on. It's up to you how you do it. If you can turn it most anywhere you want. If you memorize like the last line on page 25 here, then you can actually turn the page immediately after you start the line. Here with the left hand, you got plenty of time, because the pedal's going to keep it down, and I'll talk about the pedal in a minute. And then when you get to the last measure, you've already turned the page, but you have it memorized, so you know to play that at the bottom of page 23. You know to play that even though you've already turned the page. As I said, it's memorized. Okay, so that's another possibility. So you can practice the page turn, so you can make sure you can do that, because this is a fast piece. It's going to go quick. Now, pedal. They've got pedal all over the place. I don't know that I like that because of all these running eighth notes. It's going to smear them. If I pedal it the way they're saying to pedal it, it's going to sound like this. And then at the top of page 23, we're back to that. Now if that sound is okay for you, pedal it that way. Frankly, I don't like that sound. It's just way too, I prefer it be clean. So I wouldn't pedal any of that at all. I wouldn't pedal anything until maybe the bottom of page 23, and I would only pedal that to keep the sound going so I can make the page turn. That's what. Otherwise, look at the third line there down on page 23 where the second measure where you have that. If they pedal that, you're going to smear it all. Of course, you lift the pedal on the last beat, which releases. If that's the sound you want, go for it. I don't like it. I prefer it without pedal here. But as I said, I need to make a page turn, so I can use the pedal to help me out, since they're using it anyway, so I could smear a little bit to give me a chance to make the page turn. And on page 24 again, I don't agree with any of this pedaling, because at the top, if you pedal this like they're saying, you smear it. So I prefer it clean. When the second measure comes along and you have this pattern, this really needs to be separated. And if you pedal it, you lose that. So I completely disagree with this pedaling. I would not pedal any of this part where you have the long staccatos going. We want to hear that break. So they're not showing any pedaling on the last page except for the last note. And actually you could add a little pedal there if you wanted, because this is kind of loud and it's tenuto. So you can actually get away with pedaling the last two measures. So at the end there, the last two measures, you could do this. You can get away with that and then lift the pedal in the hands. But otherwise, I don't recommend pedaling anything in this piece. But if you'd rather, then just pedal it the way they're showing you to pedal it. Now you notice all the slurs they've got, each measure. I'm a little concerned. I'm getting the impression that whoever edited this book is actually a string player, a violin player or something like that. Because a lot of the stuff they're putting in here, it seems to be more appropriate for violins or cellos than it is for piano, because it's like these symbols don't mean the same stuff for the different instruments. That's why it's important, if you're going to write for an instrument, understand the instrument. This makes more sense as a violin bowing, where you're going down bow and the next one is up bow. It tells you the one to go down bow and up bow, not phrasing. So my opinion, ignore this phrasing. Just run it all together. Just everything, run it all together until you get to a rest or something, and there you can put in a silence because of the rest. So that's my opinion. But let's go over this very slowly together to double check the rhythm and the notes. The rhythm's not bad, it's eighth notes for the most part till we get to the 16th notes. But a lot of accidentals, so I just want to make sure we get all the accidentals in, because things may not be quite what you thought they would be. Now I'm not going to do the dynamics here. You can do the dynamics on your own. So I'm going to give us 3 counts and then we'll play it. Now we're going to do pages 22 and 23 and stop. Then we'll turn the page and I'll count us in again, and then we'll do the other 2 pages. So go ahead and put your hands where they go. Right hand, left hand, right hand. To start, if you're going to use pedal, put your foot on the pedal. I'm not going to use pedal until the last 2 measures, like I said, but I'm still going to put my foot on the pedal, because if you're going to use pedal at all, put your foot on the pedal and leave it there. Don't be putting it on and taking it off. Bad technique. Yeah, bad habit. No. 1 and ready and go and. and. Okay, stop and turn the page. Put your hands where they go, foot's on the pedal. 1 and ready and go and.